Welcome to Cook 30. I'm Jeremy Dixon from the Revive Cafes in Auckland, New Zealand, and also author of the Revive Cafe Cookbooks. And today, I want to share with you some delicious cafe quality meals that you can cook in your own home. Cook 30 food is all about using whole food, plant-based ingredients. We're going to be using great protein sources like nuts, lentils and beans, whole grains, fresh fruit and vegetables, and wrapping it all together with international flavours and herbs and spices. And the best part about cooking with Cook 30 food is you do not have to spend hours slaving away in the kitchen. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to share with you a great meal that you can cook for your family, and you'll be surprised how easy it is. On the menu today, we have a medley of soups. We're starting with a classic carrot and coriander soup. We have a fragrant Thai tofu laksa and a creamy Italian tomato soup. We're going to be serving these with freshly made hummus and whole grain bread, and to finish it off with a colourful fruit platter. Okay, to make a meal in 30 minutes, you want to make sure you're really well prepared. Got a clear bench surface, good chopping board, sharp knife. I've got 3 pots on the stove, warmed up, ready to go. I've boiled the jugs, so we have boiling water ready, and our shelves and refrigerator are stocked with all the food we need. So let's get into it. Now when we have soups, I often go to people's places and there might be a couple of soups. You never want just one soup. I always love to just have multiple different soups. So we're going to create 3 delicious soups, which are 3 of the best-selling ones at my cafes, so you can have it as a meal. And serving with whole grain bread and hummus really completes it, so it is a complete meal. So to start with, we're going to start with the carrot and coriander soup. The first ingredient is onions. So all these soups start with onions. With vegetarian cooking, you need to really work hard with your flavours because you don't have a lot of the inbuilt flavour that comes with meat. So onions is a really good place to start. It just gives a great underlying depth of flavour, a good base that you can then build the rest of your meal on. So if you start with a good base of flavour, the rest of the meal is easy. So we have an onion. I'm just going to chop it up reasonably roughly. Now this soup will be blended at the end, so we don't need to be too careful in our cutting, but just small enough so it's going to saute reasonably quickly. Splash of oil. Put the onions in. We're also going to have some garlic. So we have 2 cloves of garlic. Just get my garlic crusher. And garlic is another ingredient that you never taste. Things don't taste of garlic usually. It just adds a depth of flavour that's just wonderful. So 2 cloves of garlic. Straight in the garlic press, skin on and all, and just squeeze it through. Great time saver. So I'll just turn that up a little bit. So we need to add some carrots. So we're just going to peel these. Sometimes carrots come okay, but these ones we're not in carrot season at the moment, so they're not quite as fresh as they sometimes are. But if your carrots come, really nice and clean and fresh, you can generally get away with peeling on most occasions. So it's up to you. Generally, I won't peel vegetables unless there's a need. It's just a great time saver, wastage, and also you can lose nutrients as well. But today I will peel these carrots. So you may not have had carrot and coriander soup before, but it's just a lovely flavour of soup. It's just awesome. So I'm just going to chop the ends off. And again, with your chopping, try to cut multiple parts at the same time. And we're just going to just roughly chop these. We want them to cook, so you don't have to make them wafer thin or anything. I'll put those in there with the onions and stir them around. Turn that down. So you want to just have it so it's just a medium heat, and those onions and carrots will just start softening and get ready. That's the base of the first soup underway. The second one we're going to work on is the Thai Laksa. And this is a lovely Asian dish that we're going to serve with tofu. So we want to start with an onion again. So we'll repeat the process, chop the onion up. Now this soup is going to be not blended, so we want to take a little bit more care with our preparation of our vegetables. So if you're blending stuff, you can just really cut it any old way. Get rid of all the skin parts. So we're going to just dice this really finely. And when you're chopping your onion into these half moons, you just need to hold the onion at the end so it stays as one complete piece. Or thereabouts. You can get one group of onions, and you can just slice through here. So we've got some nice thin small pieces. So it's just going to dissolve into the soup. We don't want to be eating chunks of onion in this one. Again, touch of oil. So I'm using some cast iron pots today, and they're my favourite way of cooking is using cast iron. So if you can get some beautiful cast iron pots, I recommend them. They're very, very heavy, but they last forever, and the good quality ones that have a great non-stick style surface. Okay, we need to add some garlic. You can of course use any other pot you want. We've just got a basic stainless pot here, so it doesn't really matter as long as you stop it from burning on the bottom. Again, we're going to put some garlic in, so just remove the skin from the last session and squeeze that in like that. Much quicker than finely chopping it up. And I really love these bamboo style wooden stirrers as well. They're my favourite way to stir. They're just wonderful. They're really, really inexpensive, probably $1 or $2 at an Asian shop. So we're going to just keep all these stirring as we go. We've got 3 pots on. So this shows all about multitasking, as you've probably discovered. Having multiple things on at once, but you can save lots of time. Now we want to start to add some lovely Thai flavours. So we've got some lemongrass. So we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of lemongrass paste. You could just put in 2 stalks as well, but it's much quicker when you've got these great pastes that you can get at most supermarkets. So lemongrass paste, 2 tablespoons, and 2 tablespoons of ginger. There we go. So that soup is now underway as well. Tomato soup next, and if you ever want a quick soup to make, tomato soup is the quickest one you can make because it's just very quick. You're just using canned tomatoes. But we still need to get an onion on. So again, the same ritual. Peel the onion. And we're going to be blending the tomato soup, so we don't have to be as fussy with our chopping. So just roughly diced. Pop that in. Bit of oil. And again, some garlic. Pick off 2 nice big cloves of garlic. Let the old skin, press it in. There we go. Stir for this one, and this one here is now underway as well. So great start. The hard part of the soups are underway, although the long part, and this onion is going to be beautifully caramelising. Okay, just add I've got a peeled carrot here and some celery. Just going to add these to the tomato soup just to give it a bit of extra flavour. Carrots and celery and onions are a really good partnership. Just add those in there. So I want to add some spices to the carrot and coriander soup. So I've just got half a teaspoon of nutmeg and a tablespoon of coriander. Of course, it's coriander soup. and a tablespoon of cumin. Just give them a quick mix around. We're also going to be using fresh coriander with the carrot and coriander soup as well. So just let these spices activate for a couple of seconds. We've got the boiling water here ready to go, and we want 4 cups, which is 1 litre or a quart. So I'll measure that out and we'll pour that in, and those will start cooking. Give that a bit of a stir, turn it up a bit. And now we want to make some cashew cream. And this is a really creamy way of increasing the creaminess in soups. A lot of restaurants or recipes call for normal creams. This is a much healthier one. And we're going to cream the carrot soup and the tomato soup this way. So I'm just going to start with 2 cups of cashew nuts, because we're going to 2 soups. And 2 cups cold water. And blend this up. And this is just a great way of making things creamy. You can use it in curries, smoothies, anywhere you need something creaminess and thick. It's a great way of doing it. It just takes a couple of seconds. Let's pour this into this jug and we'll be able to use that later. So another job is done and prepared for us when we need it. Okay, back to the tomato soup. We're going to add some Italian seasoning. So you can get these lovely just combinations of different dried herbs. So you want a good tablespoon. You can get Italian seasoning, mixed herbs. They're all different names. They're just a good combination of some dried herbs. So we'll just mix that around in there for a bit. And then we've got some canned tomatoes. And we want 3 little cans, or 1 big can and 1 little can. So we want 1,200 grams, which is around about 18 ounces of tomatoes. And the best part about tomato soup is it's just opening cans. So it's one of the fastest soups you can make. So open these. So if you can get any kind of, you can use whole tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, because they're going to be blending it up. It doesn't really matter. Just put the canned tomatoes in there. Turn up the heat a little bit. There we go. We're going to put in also 2 cups of water, just to give it that soupy texture. And just turn up the heat, and then we'll just let that kind of mingle together. It'll start to develop a lovely flavour. I'm also going to add some honey, tablespoon of honey. One thing about tomatoes is they can be quite, bitter is the wrong word, but they're not generally as sweet when they come in cans. So you may need to, we'll start with 1 tablespoon of honey, but you may need to add more later. So always taste it. Every kind of batch of canned tomatoes is different. And half a teaspoon of salt. Yeah, and again with salt as well. All these soups we're going to have to make sure we taste at the end and just adjust with any seasonings if possible. But these are good starting measurements. So we'll bring that back to the boil. Give this a bit of a stir. Whoops, burning a little bit. Turn it down. Give this one a stir. You've got to be multitasking, keeping everything stirring and stopping from burning. If you've just joined us on Cook 30 today, we are cooking a medley of soups. We're starting with a classic carrot and coriander soup, a fragrant Thai tofu laksa. We're going to be making a creamy Italian tomato soup and serving it with fresh hummus and whole grain bread. And to finish off, a delicious fruit platter. We're making excellent progress on our 3 soups, and now we're going to put all the delicious flavours into the laksa. So look at these onions and lemongrass and garlic and ginger, just a nice lovely base. So we're going to put in a tablespoon of ground coriander. And I'm going to chop up some colour. We want to make sure we've got some colour in the soup. So we'll just put half a red and half a yellow bell pepper. Just rip out the seedy part at the end. And we're just going to slice it really thinly. And you need a really good sharp knife to do this. So as thin as you can, chop that through. So as with cooking, the important part is colour. So the tomato soup and the carrot soup will be reasonably monochrome. One will be kind of orangey and one will be red, but the laksa is the one we want to have all the colour shining through. Chop all these up. put those in, see if we can give them just a little bit of a fry around before we add the liquid ingredients. Okay, we're going to add some red onion for colour. So half a red onion, and again we're just going to just slice it, get rid of the ends, get rid of the skin. Comes off eventually. The hardest part of onions is the skin. And we're not going to completely cook this red onion. Red onion is quite acceptable in a dish, not 100% cooked. So, but this just adds some beautiful colour through the soup. And again, we'll just put that in like that. So that's just about half a large one or one small red onion. Just turn up the heat so we can start getting all these vegetables cooking. Okay, Thai curry paste. We've got a red Thai curry paste. These are available in most supermarkets and health stores and Asian shops. So a good teaspoon of a red Thai curry paste. Put that in. It's going to mix up with the water later, so we don't need to be too worried about mixing it with water first. Sesame oil, and this is a great Asian flavour, so you want a good tablespoon of that. Just a really nice flavour. 3 tablespoons of honey, bit of sweetness in there. And another ingredient which is really nice is bamboo shoots. And these you can get in quite a few supermarkets and most Asian stores, and it just gives a really good authentic Thai and Asian texture. So just drain off the water. And look at these little guys. Just a lovely, not much flavour, but just a lovely texture to have in a lovely soup like this. This is my favourite part of cooking, just throwing lots of deliciously healthy, interesting ingredients into a pot and seeing what comes out at the other end. So that's all the main ingredients. We're now going to add some coconut milk, and this is going to provide most of our moisture. So we're going to add a can of coconut milk. And we'll put that in there like that. And then we're going to add another can of hot water, of boiling water from the jug. This will help speed up the process. Just like that. Give it a stir around. I'm just going to let that sit there and mingle. It's probably going to take about 10 minutes, and all those flavours are going to heat up, the veggies are going to soften, and that soup is nearing its finishing stages. There's no better additive to soup than freshly made hummus. So I've got a can of chickpeas or garbanzo beans here. I'm just going to quickly make up some hummus. Once you've made this a few times, it is so easy. So I'll just drain these beans and pop them in the blender. So 1 can of beans, we want half a teaspoon of salt, 1 clove of garlic, and the garlic press, squeeze it in. We've got some tahini, which is sesame seed paste, and we want 2 tablespoons there, 2 generous tablespoons. We want some lemons, give it a really nice bite. So generally you want about 4 tablespoons or 2 lemons. Squeeze those away. So this is just the basic classic hummus recipe, and from this you can add lots of other flavours if you want. We've got lots of flavours with the soup, so a simple hummus is appropriate today, but you can add, you know, pumpkin, butternut, sweet potato, roasted peppers, lots of things you can add to it. And a little bit of water. Now most hummus recipes call for oil, but I don't make my hummus with oil anymore, so putting in probably about a 1/4 cup of water to start with. Just healthier, and actually tastes fine if it's made fresh. So I'll cut that off. I'll just give this a bit of a stir. It's thickening up lovely. Look at that lovely tomato soup. The Laksa's just bubbling. That's just how we want it. You don't want it to over bubble because the coconut milk will separate. And this has looked like it's nearly ready to go. Look at that. I think the hummus is ready. There you go, look at that, lovely Just give it a bit of a taste. Beautiful. Sometimes it needs a little bit of lemon juice or salt, but that's actually a really nice mix. So we'll just put that there and we'll put it into a bowl before we serve. Now I think we can add some tofu to the laksa. So I'll just grab some tofu. And this is probably the main protein of this dish. Just drain the tofu. I'm just going to cube it up. Now tofu gets a bad reputation for being a very bland and boring food. In fact, some people will just refuse to eat it. And I don't blame them because, you know, it's often prepared so poorly. But tofu just soaks up flavours amazingly. And all the flavour in here, all of the delicious lemongrass, ginger, and the flavours will just permeate this tofu beautifully. So this will be a very flavoursome item. So I'm just going to pop that in there and mix it in, and that will just soak up those delicious flavours. So I just want to keep it so it's just hot, it's perhaps just bubbling, but only a little bit, so you can see the steam coming off it. And that will be a beautiful soup. Now the carrot soup I think is ready. The carrots are looking reasonably soft. So I'm just going to add some seasoning. So we want to have half a teaspoon of salt, and we want a bit of sweetness. So we'll add 2 tablespoons of honey. And again, all these seasoning are just recommendations. Every soup ends up different, so make sure you try your soup before you finish and change the seasoning if required. We're just going to add half of this cashew cream to make it nice and creamy. So half that's for that one, and half that we'll put in the tomato later. Stir it around, and now we're going to get a great friend of mine, the stick blender. These are amazing tools, available in most department stores. So just got a little blade on the bottom, and we're just going to blend this round. You may need to tilt it so that you have you're fully immersed. If the blender comes out of the top of the soup, it'll spray everything. So that's the trick with this. Well, I better turn it off first, hadn't I? Don't want to be cooking my fingers. Blend it round. That soup's all nice and blended. Look how thick that's become. Just beautiful. So we'll just have a quick taste. Always have tasting spoons available. That is really nice. Perhaps just a touch more salt. And that is just a beautiful soup. We'll garnish that with fresh cilantro, and that is ready for the table. Well, tomato soup is nearly finished. Look at that, nice and thick. You can see the water's evaporated off and the flavours have all strengthened. We're just going to stir in this cashew cream, and this turns it from a lovely tomato soup into an amazing tomato soup with that nice creaminess. Just absolutely wonderful. So all we need to do to finish that is just blend that up, and it's ready. The laksa, this is just so flavoursome. So I'm just going to turn this off now. Actually, I'm going to turn everything off. But to make this absolutely, totally awesome, we're going to add some cilantro on top. We're going to add some mint, and these 2 herbs will just transform this dish into something that is just full of amazing flavours. So the mint, the cilantro, and that's not all. We're going to add some lime juice, and this combination will just be amazing. So I'm just going to squeeze that in like that. It's just going to be beautiful. And then we're going to add some limes with it. So when we're serving, people can just add some limes to go with it. Just like that. Look at that. Okay, we now need to make a fruit platter. So I'm just going to swap the board over. We've been cutting a lot of vegetable things on this side, so you want a nice clear board when you start a fruit platter. And we're going to start with these beautiful fruits. And we've got some nice melons here. So I'm just going to chop them in half, then chop them in quarters, and then scoop out the flesh inside. And we're just going to slice it up, get the end off. And we're going to leave the skin on. You can actually do a nice fruit platter with the skin on. So we're going to chop this. Need to hold each piece as we chop. And we're just going to lay it out. And the secret of the fruit platter is to keep all the colours together and just lay it out like that. I'm going to start with another colour. So we've got another melon, and again we're going to quarter it and then scoop out the seeds, leave the skin on and just chop off some bits. And then lay it out again and arrange these into nice rows of lovely fruit. We've now got a watermelon and a pineapple, same thing again, leave the skin on and just keep chopping these into lovely, lovely rows. So I'm going to finish this fruit platter while we go to the break, and we'll put everything on the table shortly. During the break, I've grated some carrot into the carrot and coriander soup. That just gives it a little bit of extra interesting texture. Finish this fruit platter. Hasn't God made some amazing, beautiful fruits? Just bursting with colours and taste and flavour and all the vitamins and minerals we need for our body. This beautiful Thai Laksa, just delicious, all those flavours bursting through. And of course, we've finished off the tomato soup and blended it as well. Thank you for joining me today on Cook 30. I hope you've enjoyed the show, learnt some great new cooking tips, and I look forward to seeing you next time.